Hey everyone, I'm Nisha and welcome to my channel. I'm the South Asian Mystic and I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. So today I just thought I'd come in and do a very short video. I hope it'll finish under 5 to 10 minutes. I know I have a tendency to make really long videos because I just get so carried away, but hey, here's to trying to make a short video today. So today I was just creating a couple of spreads, and the emotion that I was exploring was anger. And I picked three questions and I pulled cards to see what messages that I can get. And I was surprised by the how amazingly these three cards really addressed the heart of the question of how anger forms within most of us. I wouldn't say all of us because all of us express anger differently, but in most of us. And the three questions that I asked were, what is the source of my anger? Or what is the source of our anger? And what can I do or what can we do to reduce our anger or to stop being so angry? And the third question was, how can I or how can we stop myself or ourselves from cursing people or sending negative energy towards other people when we're feeling so angry towards them? And so this is just a general reading. So in terms of the message that I received and how this has illuminated and developed my understanding of anger. Of course, it's not the whole and soul information, it's not the whole and soul idea, and there's so much more that goes into it when you apply these three questions and apply the insights from this video into your own life. But I hope that this video and this message adds value to you, the viewer, if you choose to take this information on board and work with it yourself. So the first question was, like I said, where is this anger coming from? And I pulled the sun upright. And the sun is a card which is represented by the hummingbird in the Spirit Song Tarot. And one of the things that I first thought of was, the sun is all about happiness, is all about, spreading your joy out into the world, and it's about expressing your excitement and enthusiasm and so on. So how is this related to how does anger form? And one of the things that I remembered is that sometimes, or rather for a lot of us, anger comes when we fail to recognize or fail to identify those parts of our lives that bring us complete happiness, or when we fail or when we do identify those areas of our life where we get happiness from, but we don't allow ourselves to express or explore those areas of our life and to really give into this happiness. And so we stifle ourselves to such an extent where we start resenting the entire world around us, and when we see other people doing things they love and really succeeding at them and really having fun, then we tend to this repressed anger that typically is aimed at ourselves sort of boils over, spills over, and affects the other person. So that was my interpretation of this card. And another thing that I found really interesting was the choice of hummingbird for this card. Now, the hummingbird is a card that is found in a lot of tropical countries, and the hummingbird is a creature that is really happy, that's really colorful, that really makes you feel very nice when you look at it. But at the same time, did you know that hummingbirds tend to overheat and sometimes even die when they are exposed to too much sunlight? And so I found this juxtaposition, this opposing ideas really interesting, because in a way, when you don't allow yourself to be happy, when you are constantly fixated on the negative things that are happening in your life, or when you are you're choosing not to engage with things that make you happy, and because of whatever reason, because of societal pressure, because of your own sense of fear that you might not be good enough to do it, or because somebody else might be saying something to you, monetary reasons or so on, whatever. There could be so many reasons that affect us. And when we don't explore things that make us happy, that when we give the locus of control to external factors, and that sort of builds up that and that negativity within us, and that negativity sort of becomes so toxic that it burns us up from within. That's why sometimes when you feel rage, like I'm talking about real rage, you will see that your vision sort of becomes really red and blurry, and your thoughts become really fuzzy, and it's sort of like you're overheating from the inside. Your cheeks become red, you start heaving. These are all signs of extreme anger that your body is manifesting, and it's very similar to how your body would react when you're overheating as well. The flushed cheeks, the heavy breathing, the blurriness, your sight becomes sort of very, blurry and red and so on. So that's something that I've even personally experienced in terms of overheating and in terms of extreme rage when I've had those situations. And I feel like this is such a nice representation of how anger might actually form, in the sense that I know that not all sorts of anger are like this. A lot of times anger is justified, and I completely acknowledge that righteous anger is important to express, especially when you are facing you are becoming a victim of privileged people who marginalize you, ostracize you, and target you in unfair ways. And I'm not talking about those circumstances. I'm talking about anger in the sense where you are angry at someone for whatever reason, not excluding, barring these situations of righteous anger. And this anger stems from not really allowing yourself to view yourself as distinct and separate from your anger, of viewing your life as a way where you look at things and you find things external to the anger, as in what are the other facets of your life and your personality, besides this anger. What are the things that are working for you? What are things that you're really happy about? Are you allowing yourself to be happy? So those are the things that come to mind over here. And just like the hummingbird that can overheat itself by spending too much time in the sun, giving vent to so much anger, or rather allowing yourself to stew in that anger, will really start to burn you up from within until you really explode, or you expend all of your energy to such an extent that it is that kind of leaves you dry. So that's what this card brought out to me. The second card that I pulled was how can I reduce my anger? How can I stop expressing so much anger at others? And the card I pulled was the Queen of Crystals. So the crystals is the Suit of Pentacles, and it talks of the energy of the earth. And to me, the Queen of Pentacles or the Queen of Crystals represents someone who actively seeks out things that make her feel happy, or make them feel happy. Let's not give it a gender. So that makes them feel happy, that makes them feel physically secure, physically satisfied, warm, protected, and safe. And when we are, in that state of complete anger, when we are really burning up from within and really suppressing our feelings and just really stewing in that anger, having that really negative hummingbird energy, we don't feel secure, we don't feel safe, we don't feel happy. And a lot of times what happens is, when we don't give vent to this anger and we hold on to this anger, that's when the energy of the earth plays in. So the earth is a very long-term element, unlike, let's say, fire. Fire burns up very quickly, and then all you are left with is ashes. But the earth holds on. The earth roots in. The earth keeps things tight, bottled up, until finally, before you realize it, and even sometimes it's too late, that's when it explodes. That's when the cracks and fissures in the earth appear. So this anger sort of takes root and really starts to, ruin your mental peace, ruin your emotional health, ruin your physical health from deep within your core. And so when you're in this kind of a mental, physical, and emotional state, you are not likely to be in a good position to acquire those things or to attract those things that make you feel joy and peaceful. Right? One thing that I really found nice about this card was the usage of the hedgehog. And for some of you may know this, some of you may not, but mother hedgehogs eat up their babies when they are in an environment of stress and uncertainty. So this is sort of survival instinct, and wherein the mother hedgehogs, when they sense that the atmosphere is dangerous or toxic, and it's very stressful, high pressure environment, the mother hedgehog eats up her own babies and walks away. So this is a survival instinct that hedgehogs have in order to ensure that the next litter is able to survive in whatever difficult circumstances that they are experiencing. And to me, this really talks of how holding on to anger is sort of like eating away at your own happiness, eating away at your own mental peace, and eating away your own, and essentially self-destructing your own opportunities to move forward to a better part of your life. And again, yes, I do acknowledge that this is not possible all the times, as in letting go of anger and moving on. So I'm only addressing this message to situations where it is possible. So what is the best way that I can reduce my anger? That is, what is the best way where I can stop being that hedgehog mother, where I am essentially eating away my own happiness, where sort of pressed my self-destruct button, is by basically realizing that whatever you've built for yourself has been done through your hard work, your effort, your love, and your passion for whatever it is. It could be material wealth, it could be emotional well-being, mental well-being, it could be relationships that you've nurtured all of your life, and it could be basically anything that you are proud of and that you want to retain. And anger can so easily destroy everything if we are not really careful to nip it in the bud, or not careful to allow it to vent itself when it first rears its ugly head, and just move on. As in, don't let it move into the earth element, rather let your anger be the fire that consumes itself in an instant, and that allows you to purge yourself of this negative toxic emotion, so that you can move forward with some clarity of mind and peace of mind. So how can you reduce anger, or how can you stop expressing anger towards somebody else, is by remembering and reminding yourself that you worked so hard to cultivate all these amazing things in your life, and that these things deserve to flourish, these things deserve to thrive, and they deserve to stay. And so remembering that your creations, your hedgehog babies essentially, can survive and thrive only in a situation where which is less stressful, less toxic, this less high pressure environment, and which is peaceful and supportive and nurturing and empathetic and kind and compassionate. And so the compassion starts with yourself, self-compassion, realizing that by holding on to anger, or by continuing to direct anger at somebody else, you're only hurting yourself. You're essentially burning yourself up constantly, and that's not good, because when you keep burning yourself constantly through your own anger, you eat up your baby hedgehogs, and that doesn't serve you either. So I feel like the message that I'm getting right now is that conscious effort to stop holding on to that anger, to stop sending out that anger towards another person is necessary. And the one way to do this is to remind yourself that you have created an amazing life for yourself through your own hard work, through your own prayers, through your own good wishes, through your own nurturing of relationships, and they deserve to thrive, and you deserve a chance. So it's best to sort of consciously try to stop feeling that anger. And so that's why I pulled another card, wherein how can I stop expressing this anger? How can I stop cursing other people? How can I stop sending these ill wishes to other people? Because it happens, right? Whether we like it or not, unconsciously it just slips out. Like, what? Oh my God, I wish this person XYZ, or this happens to them. It happens. We're all human. We tend to give in to our anger in this way. And so how can we stop sending out this negative energy? How can we stop cursing people? And I'm not talking about curses in a witchy sense where you're actively casting a curse. I'm talking about curses in the sense that you are expressing that deep emotion in your heart, and that negative energy just goes out. So it might happen unconsciously as well. So that is what I mean by curse, not exactly a witchy curse or anything like that. So how can you stop sending this negative energy towards other people? And I got this card, which is the reversed Ace of Shells. So the Ace of Shells is the suit of cups, which is all about emotions and your emotional health. And to a large extent, it represents your mental health, so this emotional and mental health leads to your physical health and your physical creation as well. Now, the Ace of Shells or the Ace of Cups represents the start of an emotional journey. And when you are venting your anger, or when anyone is venting their anger, it starts the cycle of hate that snowballs constantly unless somebody physically puts a stop to it. And when I look at this turtle as a symbol of the Ace of Shells, it reminds me of the creation myths of so many cultures. For example, in Hinduism, the turtle represents the Kurma avatar of Vishnu, which is one of the avatars, one of the 10 avatars. And the turtle is what holds up the earth and protects the earth when the earth is in danger. Similarly, indigenous communities in North America even today call North America as Turtle Island, because in their mythologies, the turtle plays a very important role in protecting and saving the earth. In ancient Egypt, some communities used to equate the turtle as a symbol of well-being and health and general wellness. In Japan and China too, you see the turtle and the tortoise playing an important role as preservers of the earth, as representatives of the earth. So you have so many cultures around the world where the turtle represents creation, and the turtle represents preservation, the turtle represents restoration, wherein we are resting the world or resting a particular thing from a state of chaos and taking it forward to a state where everything is calm, everything is thriving, everything is flourishing, and it's just that love and trust and support that is spreading. And to me, this card represents in terms of how can I stop cursing other people, how can I stop sharing this negative idea towards other people. It reminds me of the conscious desire to create something better for ourselves. Because what I've realized through both personal experience and by hearing other people talk about anger, it's that anger only serves to hurt you. For example, see, most of us don't really act on our anger, right? We may yell at people, and we may give them the cold shoulder, not talk to them. But beyond that, most of us really don't do anything bad, like really bad, right? Of course, there are people who really get really physically violent, and I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the other side of the equation, wherein people who express anger either just suppress this anger within themselves, or they may just yell and scream, or they may just cut ties with someone, and not really resort to physical violence. I'm talking about that. And in those cases, this card reminds me about the actual desire, the emotional maturity to realize that when you do this, you're only hurting yourself. So for example, when you give someone a cold shoulder, you are only cutting yourself away from relations who you have cultivated because you want them in your life. And holding on to this anger, cutting them out of your life, won't hurt anyone but yourself, because you're depriving yourself of the joy of their companionship. Similarly, if you yell at someone and there's a baby next door who's kind of talking so loudly, I don't know if you can hear them. So if you have expressed your anger in terms of words, that is saying things in anger, and then you end up, and these things are really mean, they could be nasty as well, they could hurt the other person emotionally. Only later, once your anger sort of cooled down, do you realize how much you never meant them, and you didn't want to say these things, you don't mean them, but they end up hurting you. Yes, they have hurt the other person, but they also hurt you because you don't mean them, and you start to really revile yourself for saying these things or doing these things, and you sort of lose respect for yourself as well. We all experience these things happening to all of us, and anger is such a universal emotion that we all experience all these things. So we need to and this card tells me that we need to consciously try to create peace for ourselves and create a state of mind and a state of heart where we realize that the only way to restore things back to normal is to let go of the anger, is to prop up the the comforts that give us happiness, the relationships that give us happiness, rather than allowing the toxicity rather than allowing the toxicity to keep burning us up from within. And that's where the restoration, preservation, conservation aspect of the ace of shells comes into me, wherein we're beginning where we are redefining our relationship with anger, and where we are creating a new emotional expression, where we don't allow anger to cloud our minds, where we realize that the only person that anger will hurt the most is ourselves, and then the secondary victims of these angers would be other people. But then ultimately it would hurt us because it would deprive us of so many other things and so many other relationships that we want in our lives and that are good for us. And so yeah, that's the message that I'm getting right now, that how can I stop from cursing other people, how can I stop from sending out that negative energy towards other people, is to realize that the power of creating a life where you have the people that you love and you need in your life, that you have the comforts that you want in your life, is to stop self-sabotaging yourself by holding on to this anger. If it is an anger, again, I repeat what I said with the other two cards, if it is an anger that doesn't serve a positive purpose but only seeks to disempower you and disconnect you from the people and the things that are adding value to your life, such an anger does not deserve a place in your heart and mind. Such an anger needs to be released, to be let go of. And in a way, I think that also reminds me of something, in Sri Lanka, when I had visited Sri Lanka, they have these turtle hatcheries where people are allowed to release hatched turtle babies, little baby turtles out into the sea. And so you pick up the baby turtle in your hands and you take it towards the waves, and then they have this particular spot where the government has recognized a particular spot where you can release these baby turtles, and so you release them. So essentially you are giving them an opportunity to once they're hatched, to go back out into the sea without experiencing the threat of being picked off by predators. So in a way, the sort of the imagery of the turtle also reminds of release, wherein you are releasing this negative emotion. And just as the baby turtle is released into water, there is a sense of purification that comes in, wherein you are releasing something that was burning you up from inside, that was really causing so much harm, so much toxicity in your mind. You're purging yourself of that thing by releasing it, and you're feeling the sense of purification and calmness and this sense of emotional and mental stability to an extent, wherein you feel calm enough to take a clear decision about where you want to go next and how you want to deal with things next. I hope that makes sense about the release. So how can I stop cursing people, or how can I stop sending that anger out across people? Is to release it out into the wild, release it into the water. Allow the healing power of the water, of your emotions, to soothe you, to soothe that inner fire, soothe that inner fire, so that you can build the life that you've always wanted. So yeah, there you go. Well, I hope this video added value for you and it made sense. This was sort of like a stream of consciousness conversation that I wanted to have with all of you. It is not under 10 minutes. I'm sorry about that. But I hope these 24-25 minutes did add value for you. And if you stuck around this long, thank you so much for watching. And I hope you have a fabulous week ahead. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.